Hi, I'm Austin Eartham. Welcome to the Kitchen Table Podcast. I'm here to motivate, educate, and relate to you guys, sharing my stories, helping you get 1% better in all areas of your life. Welcome to episode 119. Appreciate you guys listening, tuning in today. This is going to be the season finale for season 6. Take a couple weeks off, and then we will be 3 years into the podcast. Again, couldn't do this without you guys, as well as Vitargo, Eartham Healthcare Services, as well as Cole's Professional Kicking, and of course, Spotify for podcasters, and now their deal with Riverside. So appreciate you guys as well as them. Go ahead and check the link in the description to get 15% off of Vitargo, as well as hit me up about some of those other things, and we'll be in contact. A lot to talk about this week. A lot of things has happened in the world, a lot of reflection. Just actually got done watching a mindfulness video, and I thought it was interesting because mindfulness is about being present. If you're present, then you're more likely to be better at whatever you are trying to finish your task, whether that's trying to reach a goal in the business world, trying to do better on a test, trying to have better relationships socially, or obviously perform optimally in sports, which is what I talk to a lot of people about. So try to stay present, try to go through this kind of step by step and talk about a couple things within some different spaces that I learned about myself this week and how you can use it as well as kind of shed some light on some opinions that I have that I think are important to share. So without further ado, here we go. The quote I heard this week, it's super interesting. I put it as my Wisdom Wednesday, as I normally do on here, correlate those. I was watching it's called kind of a girly show called Selling the OC on Netflix. It's about real estate. I love seeing the houses and kind of the ways of real estate, and just moved into a house. So it's interesting, kind of the ins and outs of how the business world works. And I just love looking at different pieces of housing and figuring kind of that world out. So it's kind of cool. But anyways, one of the owners of a company said that you'll never meet a hater who's doing better than you. And I think that's important because a lot of times people who are hating on us or don't understand, either they're uneducated, aren't in the situation, have never been in the situation, or are wanting to be us or envious of us. If they're doing really well in their own regard in the same field or a different field, they might not have any interest for us low life people or whatever you want to classify us as. They're higher on the totem pole, so they don't discuss that with us. So I think that was really good. It's a good reminder of people who hate. They probably just want to be you. Turn into a positive, and realize that you're probably doing things right that don't change for somebody else just because they might not be in the same spot as you and they want to be you. It must mean you're doing something right or you're getting towards success, or attempting to get towards whatever is classified as success in your field. I thought that was pretty good. Where I saw God this week, saw God in many places. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But one thing I wrote down is I watched a YouTube video on the Hard Work Pays Off channel or whatever with Matt Fraser and his, well, now his CEO of the company. I ran the Boston Marathon. My brothers ran the marathon. It's a pretty cool event. Anyways, they did it for this charity, and there was some hard training. And Sammy, the wife, just had a baby, and 6 months later is trying to do the Boston Marathon. Training hasn't gone great, and O'Keefe's trying to get a certain time. And anyways, when they passed the finish line, both of them they pass at different times. Both of them are in tears because the effort and the work they put in, and it reminded the why of why they are running, and the why just really got to them in support of doing it for a charity and making an impact in their lives and their daily difficulties, for whether it's veterans or somebody who doesn't have a limb or something like that. And a reminder of their daily struggle, and then they cross the finish line, do something hard, feel good about themselves. They're overwhelmed with emotion, and I think that's so genuine and so important to have those life lessons or go through those things in life, because one, it's for the right reasons, and two, it feels really good to accomplish something like that. So I think that was really, really cool to see. It makes things worth it, and to know your why. So I was thinking, I always tell kids in sports psychology this week, or last week, or whenever I was thinking about this, and I reminded them this weekend when I was talking to a couple people, and remind yourself of why you do something. Right? We want to have this motivation, this internal motivation of why we're doing something. So if we are motivating ourselves, motivation is going to fluctuate up and down just like confidence. But if we have our why, then we're going to be more likely to be motivated, especially in those dog days of summer when it gets really hot. You're by yourself. You've been doing stuff for 6, 8 weeks and you're just tired of it. It's a good reminder of, hey, I'm doing this for a reason, and thinking about that end goal. And then day to day, we got to have that set in stone, working at it in order to reach that end goal. Otherwise, we're going to have to modify the goal a little bit. And the second thing is not only our motivation of our why, but also the how to get there. I was talking to a kid the other day about, are you actually prepared for game win, right? That's what we say we prepare for. We go out in the field, we kick some footballs, whatever. We prepare for a test. We say we study, but are you really studying? Are you present? Are you mindful? Are you thinking about the different situations? Are you self-aware? Are you practicing your weaknesses? Do you understand your strengths? Are you reaching out to people to help you get better at that kind of stuff? Or do you just say like, yeah, I'm doing it, and then you really know you're not? Like in college, I would always be like, yeah, I got it. Or I've studied 20 minutes, I looked at my notes, I'm good. But have you wrote stuff down? Have you quizzed yourself? Have you had other people quizzed you? Have you done examples? And then how have you done on those examples? Right? Not just doing the same thing over and over, but finding different ways to quiz yourself so you have more experience, more examples, because that's how you gain value in who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. Right? So you can truly see kind of where you're at on the totem pole again. So in kicking, go out, okay, I'm good from the 30-yard line. Okay, I journal. I realize that my misses are usually from 40 to 43. I'm worse on the right hash than the left hash. When I miss to the left because I don't have this mechanic down. And then you can start working on those details, and you're still present every kick thinking about that. And all you have to do is focus for that 15 seconds, shag the ball, focus again. So remind yourself of what your why, but then also your how. How do you do it to get to that why? And then what's those goals? Do those goals all line up? And that's really what we need, the why to the how to the action. Right? I'm going to write that down. How, why, action. And if those things all line up with those goals, then you're in business. I thought that was something that I saw this week that was interesting. The other thing, let me see what else I got here. Oh, the other thing that helps, kind of going off this, and then I'll end with the whole your why thing. If that vision, whatever you have for that vision, like the business, I want to be able to host business events to be able, yes, show the power of the business, right? Talk about power last week, and yeah, I still have that kind of earthly want or need, but it's also to be like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm reaching my goal, and the happiness of, hey, I did it, and then visualizing what that might look like. Stock market always says to buy the hype, sell the news, essentially. Same thing in life. Like I want to visualize that hype, and then when it happens, it might not be a big deal, but it got me to that point by thinking about it, right? So I want us to continue to visualize what that might be, and engulf our thoughts in, okay, this is a game winner. How do we deal with it? And I think that you're more likely to, when the situation comes, be less crazy about it. So always remember, when you visualize, buy the hype, and sell the news. Okay. Let me see what else we got here. All right, we'll talk about the one thing I did learn about myself going off last week too with power, and then we'll get into the big thing for this week. I also learned that I don't like the process of anything, right? I want it to come to me. So myself, what I need to learn, how I don't like the process. I don't like doing the extra work. I mean, but I do it. I just don't really enjoy it. So my goal is to, how can I find what is my passion, right? I want to coach at some point, but I don't want to coach right now because I want to work out. But I'm probably not going to do the CrossFit Games type stuff because I don't have the time. I need the money, and then it's just not in the cards, you know? So then I'm kind of in limbo. I want to grow the business, but I need to do other things. So things take time is one thing, right? So I learned this week to just relax. I don't need to do anything radical or change anything. Just keep going with where I'm at, keep having little changes, being the best I can. And then I'll know when it's time for radical change, because there's been a lot of radical change the last 2 years. But I don't like the process in anything, or take the time to do it. And the best in the world take time to do it. If you're CrossFit Games, you work out 6 hours a day, right? If you're CEO of a company, to build that company, you spent 10, 12, 14-hour days doing things. and diligently doing it, right? So something has to sacrifice in order for you to be great. And so far, like I said, I want to be Mario, good at everything, but that takes out the time aspect. So I need to figure out if there's something in the process, what do I enjoy? And then am I okay having other things suffer to get that? Or am I going to stay in this limbo period? And maybe I haven't figured that out yet, right? And I wrote down the other day, again, with my whole thesis in grad school, about kind of what you want. You can think not vocation, but like purpose in life. You don't need to know your purpose, especially at a young age. You just need to know what you like and don't like, and especially don't like, because then you don't have to go down that road. And then when you start to gain more likes, you're figuring out little pieces. So I'm just waiting to figure out those little pieces of what I can like in the process in order to spend time, sit down and make a sports psychology sheet, not just deliver it to people, or have the program or make an online class or whatever it might be, to coach. But I want to do my own workouts, and I feel better when I'm doing the workouts rather than coaching, watching others. So okay, how can I work with them, um, and get that kind of the competitive edge, like I'm still in it, but also be helping them at the same time? And how can the schedule line up with that? Right, that's the challenge we talked about a couple of weeks ago for me, and that's what I'm still trying to figure out. Another thing I learned, and this is just pure sports coaching, I think, is the best are born the best. Just in general, LeBron James, talent all the way around. Scottie Scheffler, talent all the way around. Which again, I think that situation is unfortunate with Scottie Scheffler, but that's another conversation for another day. But anyways, the best are born the best because they have that talent and they work hard, then they get to there, right? I think there's a little bit each way, but if you want to be considered the best of all time, I think you naturally have to have it in you, from a young age, and then have those pieces fall into place. That's just my thoughts. You can definitely be good, be an all-star, whatever. Odds against you can do all that, but I think to truly be the best, you have to have the work ethic, the talent, and basically be born with that, right? God given. All right. The other thing that I want to talk about today, and this is really the last thing, that I have for the week, is the Harrison Butker speech. So this is another reason I saw God this week is I have some thoughts about it, and I think it's important to share it, and then that'll get us to our 1440. So I think a couple of things. Number one, he's a very, like, I call it right-winged Catholic, like very old school, traditional. This is how it is. Uses the big Latin words, all that kind of stuff. Whereas I'm more of like a what would Jesus truly think today? Like Jesus wasn't necessarily Catholic, right? It's a man-made thing. Religion's a man-made thing, and everybody has a religion. They all go after something, right? Religion doesn't have to be faith specific. Religion is something that you look up to, have hope, or follow. Okay, so everybody has a religion, whether you are associated with it or not. And I think that having he talks about women and not having jobs, right? That career, women think less. Women should think less and be more excited about having a kid rather than being a CEO of a company. And I think that he words it wrong. I shouldn't say wrong. He could have worded it a little bit better to understand, because I think the media, especially the Democratic media, always wants the clickbait or have somebody click on something, and the Republicans are like, yeah, good job, good job. And I don't think that's right either. Um, but I think what he's saying is that vocation is the most important thing from God, and your vocation is either priesthood, sisterhood, be a lay person, or get married, have a family, right? So in terms of God doesn't care about your career, how much money you make, how many friends you have, what car you drive. God cares, do you follow His will for yourself and your family? And one of those vocations is to be a mother, because obviously men can't have kids, right? But he talks about that later, and what the father should be. He's saying that women should follow their vocation first, career second, right? Just like he's saying that fathers shouldn't have they should be masculine. He doesn't mean masculine like flex your muscles, be the man in the house, you're above the wife. That he's saying that most people who have trauma in their lives don't have a father, and that's a true stat. That violence occurs when there's less a father figure in the home. So he's saying that men need to be a father and women need to be a mother, and that the family is the most important thing, uh, to God. And I think that's true. I just think he worded it poorly. As well as when he talks about like the LGBTQ community, like Catholics have been notorious for allowing but not allowing them. And I don't think he needed to make the Pride Month kind of pun and talk about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift and how they're not following God's will kind of stuff. And he doesn't need to say any of that. Um, but I think some of his views and his speech is somewhat correct. Like the world is kind of what I would call soft and tries to get out of saying the truthful thing and just wants clickbait. And we're all about like sin and looking cool, keeping up with the Joneses rather than saying like what's important and what would Jesus truly want us to do. Because I don't think Jesus would truly care if there's gay people or not. Like, would we have a whole month dedicated to it? I don't know, but he doesn't need to make a pun about that. I think he should educate the world more about why his views are what they are, maybe. And then whatever people choose is up to them. It's not our job to judge them, it's God's job to judge them. So I think he needed to go a little bit different route. I do think family is important. I think men and women have so-called societal jobs, but that doesn't mean they're locked into it. I think the man can be the man of or the stay-at-home dad, and the mom can work. But it takes a team, right? So it's interesting to me about what he says. Make sure I didn't forget anything here. I do think we need to work on telling the truth more, being open to tough conversations, and getting the world back to where we want to be. Because, like I said during Easter, we're a Easter society living in a Good Friday world, right? And we want to be an Easter society living in an Easter world, and understanding this side of heaven might never reach that. We want to help it get as close as possible and do our job, just as he feels he's doing his job for people attacking him. He's feeling that's part of his platform. Which it is, and that's some of the stuff we talked about in my sports psychology grad classes. But it's never going to be perfect. So how can we have an openness to agree to disagree and understand where that person's coming from, rather than putting a little clip that says 1 or 10 words that he says without looking at the whole conversation. Again, people need to be less judgmental and more educated and not take it out of context. Um, I do think the abortion thing is challenging. I won't get into a ton about that, but I think everybody should be open to what other people say or think, and not just go by what a book says. And everybody can take that book in different ways or comprehension. It's not all one size fits all type deal. Um, so I just think that that's important when you're talking to anybody about anything. Think about where they come from, why they come from that area, and then how can you learn about each other. Um, and maybe you're learning something about yourself as well. So that's kind of the thing I want to end on. This is kind of just got a little bit of everything. We got psychology, we got politics, and we got just life trends. So appreciate you guys listening. We're going to get better this summer, working on those goals, trying to figure out ourselves a little bit more and helping others in the process. And that's why we do this. Appreciate you guys. And let me know what you want to see on season 7. And I'll see you guys next time. Love you. Bye.